The Eightfold Path can be categorized into three. We have first one, wisdom. We can categorize it into wisdom, into virtue, and meditation. So there are two under wisdom. We have one. So again, the Eightfold Path again is the ways on how we can attain Nirvana, or how can we separate ourselves from suffering. How can we separate ourselves from desire, which is the root of all suffering. So under wisdom, we have number one, to have appropriate outlook. When we say appropriate outlook, we refer to the right, perfect understanding, correct understanding, correct vision, right view, correct perspective. So the first thing to do so that we can deny ourselves from this worldly desire is to have the correct outlook in life, the correct philosophy, the correct principle. Because having wrong principles would lead to wrong actions and wrong results of our actions, which can cause suffering. So the first step for this one is to accept that there are four noble truths, or the acceptance of the four noble truths. Number two under wisdom is appropriate determination. What is appropriate determination? It is right, perfected aspiration, resolve, intention, attitude, emotion, or thought. In other words, right thinking, the correct mindset. So appropriate determination includes acting selflessly out of love and out of compassion, and avoiding unhealthy states of mind, just like hatred, anger, or greed. Now, they say that if you hate somebody, you become a slave to that person. Or greed is also one cause of all misunderstanding in this world. And to be determined to think the correct way. Now, you see, even Jesus Christ has always reminded us the power of mind over action. That's when he says that if you keep thinking of hating your brother, then that is worse than murdering him, or actually murdering him. Or in some instances, Jesus says that anyone who looks at a woman and lusts at her has already committed adultery in his heart. So you have not already, in that point, you did not do any action, but just by thinking, you're already committing sin. In Buddhism, that is also the same. So we have to be determined. Our mind should be determined not to cling on some thoughts, but to think always positively. And that is also the first step of acting out of love and compassion. So it is first through the mind. Second category of the Eightfold Path is virtue, or these moral choices that affects interpersonal relationships. So number one, we have appropriate communication. So what is this? It is right speech. So when we say right speech, we could describe it as not deceitful, abusive, or divisive. Divisive. It's a speech that is clear, truthful, uplifting, and not harming. So again, to avoid the suffering is to avoid words that are dangerous, which we call it as the four vocal wrong deeds, like lies, slander, abuse, and gossip. Yung mga marites dyan. So, gossip is one way to forget, stop doing gossip, because it creates suffering to you, and to other people. Number two, we have appropriate conduct. And appropriate conduct is living in a just and upright way. That is avoiding the three bodily wrong deeds like killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. So yung mga pambabastos, pati bastos na pag-iisip at bastos na gawain, bastos na panunood, bastos na pananalita ay dapat nating iwasan. And number 3, under virtue, is to have appropriate occupation. Now, there are occupations that, according to Buddhism, hurt other people. There are occupations that causes suffering to other people. So, if you work, you try to work and you try to provide for your own and for your family while improving the living conditions of other people. In other words, we try to avoid exploitation. Now, in capitalism, exploitation is we can say that some sort of normal thing. Because in capitalism, you include labor just as part of production. And so, you try to pay your labor the least payment as much as possible for you to gain a larger profit. So, you will just pay people what is enough for them to live today so that they can come back tomorrow and work. And that is a matter of exploitation. So, it means that we should be fair. We should try always to be benevolent and to be compassionate to other people when it comes to giving wages, something like that. And letter C, the third category of this Eightfold Path, is meditation. So number 1, we have appropriate effort, and that is the right, complete diligence, endeavor, or energy. That is avoiding unwholesome states of mind and letting go of stressful thoughts. So we have to put the effort of our mind in our body in the correct way. And that is by avoiding unhealthy thoughts. Sabi nga nila, we can select what things we can think of. So we have the option to think whether we think of negative things or we think of positive things. We have the option whether we think of hateful scenarios, or we have the capacity to choose whether we are going to forgive or not. To forgive and to forget. Number 2, we have appropriate mindfulness, and that is right through awareness and right attention. That is developing self-conscious meditative awareness of one's bodily sensations, feelings, and thoughts, and of things, people, and reality, and not permitting this to take control of one's life. So appropriate mindfulness. That is, sabi nga ni Jesus, you have to remember that you cannot serve two gods at the same time, because you are going to despise the other and serve the other. So we cannot serve God and we cannot serve wealth at the same time. And we have to remember that between the two, it is God that we should serve and not our wealth. The same with this one, appropriate mindfulness. Let us learn to let go of other desires, like the desire of the body, the desire of our some of our dreams and our cravings, and not letting this control our lives. So not letting our emotion control our lives, not letting anger, not letting lust, and many other things, no? Even wealth, money, power, fame. So we have to take control of these things instead of this taking control of our mind and taking control of our actions. Most especially taking control of our us. Taking control of us. I'm sorry. So that's it. To attain Nirvana is to try to actually do this Eightfold Path.